Jaylin Williams goes down versus Kentucky. Everybody's heart skips a beat, but he's not going to have surgery, but there is going to be some time missed. We're going to talk about just what that may look like for Auburn in their regular season and their postseason, with or without Jaylin, and what the timeline may look like. That is what we're talking about on today's episode of the Auburn Daily Show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and listening. We are back with Andrew, sadly not in person like we were. I miss being with you inside the arena, outside the arena. It's a chemistry that was unmatched by anything else that the show's done. So it's good. It's all the same. It's good to be back recording. Obviously, we were there in person. It was a tough matchup. Auburn lost the game, yes, but for any amount of time, Auburn lost Jaylin Williams, and that's definitely going to be our and that stinks. I mean, all-time winningest player at Auburn. I mean, this dude has given it all for Auburn. You hate to see anybody go down like that, whether it be missing a game or missing any sort of substantial amount of time.
Yeah, it was one of those injuries. Your season flashed before your eyes. So after the game, when you and I recorded that show on the floor, I thought the season was over. I mean, really, without Jaylin, the way the guards have been playing, I thought the season was over. But I mean, it sounds like we've gotten a positive report. So I mean, you want me to share what we have? Want me to share that?
Yeah, let's give an update. So just as a caveat, this episode should be released Friday the 23rd. We're recording fairly early in the day, Thursday the 22nd. So if there's any updates, I combed the internet to make sure I wasn't missing anything. There was nothing that we had so far. So obviously with this stuff, it can change day to day. And we just want to have that caveat here, because if we say anything that's not as up to date, well, as we're recording, it was. So just bear with us. Yeah. But as we sit right now, what are we looking at, Andrew?
So this was Lindsey Crosby wrote this at auburndaily.com. So he says, and it was a report from Auburn, like via email. It says, after the MRI, the team confirmed the injury was non-season ending, indicating that surgery was not needed and he should be able to return sometime between now and the end of the season. So, it's one of those now and the end of the season. Well, if he returns at the end of the season, that doesn't help all that much. And everything that we discuss about this situation, about Jaylin and this injury, is all going to be speculation. That little paragraph I just read is all we know. That is the only thing we know. So, it's a conversation that still needs to be. We're going to discuss what's this going to look like, what do we do without him, stuff like that. But we don't know when he'll be back. That is all we know. But it sounds like, hopefully, to me, he'll be back for the month of March, which is what it should excite fans.
Right, and that seems to be kind of the synopsis there. So just to remind everybody, it was a bye week for Auburn, so that was very fortunate. They needed to rest, and Bruce said this, and I think he even kind of saw the play. They need to rest physically, they need to rest mentally, and honestly, they need to rest emotionally too. I mean, this is a high-flying game that, it takes a toll on everybody, just the constant grind of playing basketball at this level. And Auburn just got the draw that they had one of the last bye weeks in the SEC. So they had the longest stretch out of anybody. So you kind of hope that the silver lining that situation is, will they be more rested to kind of close out the season? And Auburn has a very favorable coast of the runway to end the year after getting through the stretch of Florida, really Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky. You got a Georgia team that you should be able to beat home and away. Obviously, it's an away game to start this Saturday, so you never know. I think Tennessee is the one, especially without Jaylin, that you circle, that you just can't necessarily. I don't think anybody can feel good about that one. Even with a healthy Jaylin, I didn't feel good about that. And this one is just, can you just survive? You just get in and out of there and survive. I mean, it's crazy, though, because, Tennessee has just played so just the irregularities of their play has just been crazy. I mean, they almost dropped one to Missouri. I mean, they were a nail biter there. So who knows? Still don't feel great about it. Mississippi State at home should be able to handle business there. At Missouri. Now, the thing that scares me about at Missouri is they've been kind of scrappy lately. But anyway, I don't want to get too far into that because that's going to be the last segment. I'm jumping out of order again. So it seems to be that the timeline here, as you said, is speculating is probably going to be around March. I would guess that they are not going to rush anything with him.
Yeah.
I know Bruce has been out recruiting. I know they were giving some of the guys some breaks with practice and workouts just so they could rest. And obviously, Jaylin not only is resting, but I'm sure he's doing tons of rehab and therapy to get whatever is wrong. And I don't even think they said specifically what happened.
Mhm.
Obviously, it was something to do with the knee, but they didn't necessarily say, was it a bruise? Was it an extension? Was it a this or that? I don't even think we have any of that. They've kept this stuff pretty
Yeah.
close to the chest. And that's kind of where it lays right now. So I want to before we get into the next question here, I just want to apologize, Andrew. You may be able to hear it. Listeners can hear it. My voice is a little nasally today. Do I sound a little not the best? It's
I
okay to say
mean,
it.
it's one of the I never noticed, but I mean, sure. I mean, you sound like crap, and I'm sick and tired of it. I mean,
Okay.
I just want to, I want to crawl through this camera.
I do sound rough, and why I sound rough is because I have not had my Plains coffee today.
Uh-oh.
If I had my Plains coffee, people might comment like, I didn't know y'all had Morgan Freeman hosting the show, because my voice would sound that good. And yeah, I can only blame myself for the shortcoming. I'll apologize to the listeners. But if you want to wake up every morning and be Morgan Freeman and sound like Morgan Freeman, right there, you see this plainscoffee.com. There's a coupon code there, Auburn. Just put that in at checkout for 10% off. The good news is it doesn't matter if you could just say, you know what, I'm rich. I'm not putting the coupon code in. You get free shipping anyway. So that's always cool. Don't even have to have any sort of deals for free shipping. You get it. Not only that, you're getting the freshest coffee, which I need right now. Bad. I need that fresh coffee. Freshly ground. I mean, the day before it ships at the latest, that stuff's getting ground, packaged, getting sent to you, whether it be at home, work, your doorstep, your mailbox, wherever. Go get it. Tons of flavors. And if coffee's not your thing, they've got lots of great high quality teas as well. So be a tea drinker. You want to be Southern? You know what? Just put a pound of sugar in there, mix it up. Plainscoffee.com. I want to thank them as always for sponsoring the show and apologize. Not only them, not only the listeners, but myself, because let me tell you today, I need some Plains coffee. And hopefully as the guys are resting the team, that they're drinking some Plains coffee. Because you know what? I mean, it's a good way to start your day. So let's talk about this outlook with Jaylin here. What do you think who steps up here? Who's got to look in the mirror? And let's just say for conversation's sake, Jaylin will not be back for the regular season. We obviously don't know. But just to give us some ground to work with here, let's just say, hey, you know what? We're not going to rush him back into it. We should be able to handle these games because he's not going to be back for Tennessee. Unlikely. I don't see it happening. Anything's possible. Yeah. So that would be the game you need him most. That's going to be your most hostile away environment.
Yeah.
Your best team left on the schedule. Tennessee's still ranked number 5, I believe, in AP.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. I mean, it's one of those deals where would we risk aggravating this thing, or it's Sperio at this point. Auburn's locked in the postseason. So it's not like Auburn's a bubble team here. They're good. So it's just like, hey, let's play for what really counts. Here's the deal about it. Auburn could lose every single regular season game. You go to the Final Four, no one thinks about that.
No one cares.
And that's what's important here. And Bruce knows that.
Yeah.
Bruce been talking about that since December.
Exactly. No, I'm with you on that. I mean, if you want to mix, do you want to mix this in with talk of the last 5 games as well and then save the postseason outlook for last? Because I wouldn't mind mixing that in at some point.
Yeah, I think here's what I think we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to do a topic medley because what is on the far side of the screen? I'm pointing the wrong way. There we go. This over here by you. Yeah, somewhere. That's just going to be some guidelines. I think we're going to have to just mix it all up today. I think we're just going to have to do a topic medley. Yeah. So let's just dive right into it and just kind of let people know, if that stuff over there is, we're just hitting it all at the same time.
We are, yeah. So and the reason I asked that is I do want to talk about these last 5 games. I think that worst case scenario with no Jaylin in these 5 games, you go 3-2. I mean, and I think that the game that will decide it is I think Georgia on the road is the toughest one. I think Missouri, Mississippi State at home, Georgia at home, not worried, in all honesty. Missouri on the road, not worried. They're bad. I mean, I don't.
And I hope that's not a trap game in the sense of it's just like they've got nothing to play for. It's either they're going to just kind of keel over, or it's going to be like they are, it's a wild animal pushed into a corner that's on its last. This is kind of I'm making this up like it's some planet Earth like epic here, but it's on its last breath and it's going to go out fighting. And like, will that be Missouri for the second to last game of the year? I hope not.
I just think.
Let me see if that's their last home game. Give me just a second to check that. But go ahead.
Just in my opinion, I think they're going to be ready to go home and be done with this.
It's their last home game.
I just think they're going to be ready to go home and be done with this. You think those students be like, yeah, let's play all. I mean, I just don't. No one cares anymore. I think they're ready for this to be done and restart.
And they haven't won an SEC game this season.
Yeah,
which I couldn't remember the last team that's
the trap game narrative is going to be there. I just don't care. I've watched Missouri play 4 or 5. They're just so bad.
But it's also on a Tuesday at 8 p.m. Let me just add that as well. So
it has trap game written word by word all over it.
But how raucous is that home crowd going to be?
It won't be. It won't.
Like
it's going to be one of those games where do you not show up because the fans aren't there? You know what I mean?
Here's a good one. ESPN's ticket link has tickets as low as $2.
Yeah, there you go.
That may tell us what we need to know.
I think so. So to answer your question about who's going to step up, and I'm going to answer it with a couple of things here. So to me, and I got to give credit to my dad for this. My dad said this, but it is a great point. But it's Chaney Johnson. I think Chaney's done some good things lately. He's also done some things where you go, lately. But he's had flashes. I think in that Florida game where we got, steamrolled a little bit, he looked good. The two threes against Kentucky, I know made everybody mad, rightfully so. But I think this gives Chaney an opportunity to step up. I think some folks would be quick to say Chris Moore, maybe. But I think Chaney is going to be the guy that's going to, play. And the reason that I'm happy, I think at Georgia is the toughest of the remaining games. That's not Tennessee.
Oh, I don't. You take care of business at Georgia. You feel if you beat Georgia by 8+ points on the road, I'll even say 6+ points.
I don't care if you win the game.
You feel pretty good.
I don't care if you. This is one of those just win the. I don't care. I don't care if you win it 3-2, win the game, 0-1, win the game. I mean, seriously, like win this game. Because I don't think you lose the last 3. Now, listen, I don't. Auburn's not going to beat Tennessee in Knoxville. I mean, crazier things have happened, yes, of course, but I just don't foresee that happening. I just don't. So I think you're going to see. And the good news is Georgia doesn't really have tape of Auburn without Jaylin to be like, okay, well here we go. Let's, what I mean. The other teams will.
They got to buy
Georgia
prepare.
Won't.
Yeah, because we don't know what the starting lineup is going to look like whatsoever. And
so
I want to go ahead. I'll just clear my throat.
I was going to say, I think that benefits Auburn in the fact that they can't prepare for no Jaylin. They're going to have to business as usual. Obviously, they're going to know that Jaylin's not playing, but I'm saying they won't be able to have tape like, okay, here's what they run with no Jaylin Williams. I think that benefits Auburn because if they beat Georgia, I think they finished this stretch 4-1, which in all honesty is what they would have done without him. And then you get that player back, hopefully for the SEC tournament. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hopefully, a run in March. But I mean, here's the deal. If Auburn goes 3-2, the world's going to keep spinning. What are we right now? And 9-4. If you go 12-6 in SEC play, I'll take that. I mean, in all honesty, because I think that Auburn got and I think that with Jaylin, you go 4-1. So you say, well, Jaylin cost us 1 here, 12-6. I'd rather be 13-5. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win the SEC regular season title. So I don't care about that. I care about what happens in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, after this loss to Kentucky, that pretty much unfortunately is out of the mix unless just chaos happened or you split it. Don't think that's going to happen. Now, if Alabama had dropped to Florida last night, like they really wanted to. They just almost had it. So it is what it is. But I mean, the thing is you can still, like I said, the postseason, that's where it's important. You can still possibly get a little frisky in the tournament. But I will just say this. Now, if Auburn goes If Auburn goes 1-4, or sorry, that would be real bad. They go 4-1. We're feeling okay with that. We're feeling good. That's probably the most realistic, best case scenario, unless you're just, we're winning out. And let's keep it grounded in some level of reality here. With Jaylin gone, I think that, as you said, 3-2 is very real. And I think if you go 2-3 or worse, then you've got a real problem. And that's where I think you start ringing the siren. Now, let me say this: if Auburn does go 2-3 in this final stretch, where's the first place you're going after that final Georgia game?
One of the two rage rooms. Probably.
Yeah, you're driving to Alabama and hitting one of them up. Maybe both. On your way to Auburn, just pass through Birmingham.
Exactly.
One to go to Auburn. Yeah.
Yeah. Hit a little traffic, hit the other, get the smoke out. Lose the bad attitude. I'm with you.
Yeah. We definitely missed the ad read of the century after that Kentucky game live. That just want to apologize to everybody for that. Could have had a really that had just gone in there perfectly. So want to apologize to the people because I had a great bit in my head for how we're going to do that. And but the problem is I didn't go to the rage room before we filmed that show, so I didn't have a clear mind. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I still had that.
Exactly.
I still had everything still pent up from that, but I'm still thinking about that. And ironically, it made it more. Kentucky losing to LSU made me want to go to rage room more because it just showed that everyone's like, oh man, Kentucky played really well. No, I think Auburn just played really bad and kind of gave them that game. Now I'm gonna say this too. Pablo said it. Pablo never misses, but why did Kentucky do that? Because that was their Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
When Auburn's your Super Bowl, you show out like this. But yeah, let's go back to it. They did that. When you go to Rage Room, if you need to go to Rage Room at any point, whether it be for a birthday party, so we've been angling this for the adult side of it. For any listeners out there that have kids, they do have a splatter room as well. Really popular for the birthday parties. If you've got any kids that are under 13, really fun. 13 and up can do the Rage Room. You can do it group sizes 1 through 12. It is a blast. This is the time of year where the weather's it's not perfect to go outside yet. It's still kind of cold, dreary. This is a fun way to kind of mix up the monotony and do something fun with friends, family, work, dates, mix up the date night, wherever. In the Birmingham area or the Opelika area, check out birminghamrageroom.com on their social medias as well. You can book online there. Auburn, Opelika area, or within a relatively close drive, check out Opelika Rage Room. Same prices at both locations, same setup. It is a blast. Tell them that the Auburn Daily Show sent you, and they will get you some extra free stuff. All right. I'm gonna go because at this point I think I might need it. But that's what happened with Kentucky. That kind of rules that situation out. We kind of said if Auburn can get it right with Georgia on the road, we're feeling a lot better. We kind of have to break down of what this may look like of 4-1, 3-2, and so on. Now, I want to go back to what you kind of said earlier here. You said Chaney Johnson's going to be the guy that's got to really step up in this place, which makes sense. He's technically Jaylin's backup. And shout out to the Auburn Daily Show because we actually did a clip before the season kind of praising Chaney, and he actually clipped it and put it on his Instagram. So, we're on that same wavelength there. But something that we kind of said back then is this guy has a lot of raw athleticism.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bruce saw a lot in him, and and he knows it. Coaches know it. There was always going to be this adjustment time because they would not have brought him to Auburn if they didn't think he could play at this level.
Exactly.
But going from D2 up, there takes a little bit of adjustment time. Well, he's had that whole season under his belt now. Now, did he get to showcase it as much because of just how hot Jaylin's playing? No, you're going to game plan and predicate all that stuff around Jaylin.
Yeah.
But now Chaney's gotten enough minutes, enough exposure at this level, enough experience to where, hey man, you're in the driver's seat now. You're not riding shotgun anymore. You've got the physical ability to do this thing. You've shown flashes that you can do it. Now we just got to move those flashes to consistency. And I think he can. I think it's just a matter of getting ready to step up and getting used to that adjustment period. And here's the good news of that. It's kind of a win-win. If Chaney can do that and fill that role fairly quickly, and let's say Jaylin does come back at some relative level of how he's playing, then Auburn is absolutely cooking. You kind of mentioned, too, the deal with CBM, Chris Moore. I mean, Chris Moore's a veteran. He's been around here. He's done a whole lot, been a lot of different positions. So I think you'll definitely see him kind of float to that 4. the people who get upset about Lior's minutes just buckle up because that's what he's here for. So you're going to see Lior probably getting a few more minutes at the 3 just to give some relief time. Maybe you see Denver playing point. So the one downside of this is there's going to be some rotations that they're probably not going to be used to yet. So that's just going to take some adjustment. But you hope with a guy that is a veteran like Chris Moore that he can fill that role very, very well because he's been around on this team for quite some time. And obviously everybody's minutes are going to be going up. So that's probably going to be what we're going to see on the court. We don't know how it's going to look. We don't know how they're going to adjust the starters. Are they going to keep the same starters and then have just Chaney be one? Or are they going to put CBM starting the 3 and just going to have Chris Moore and Lior floating backing up the 3 and the 4, just kind of given different game time scenarios? We don't know yet. They haven't announced any of that as we're recording. And that's going to be the interesting play here is just, where does this coaching staff decide to move the pieces without Jaylin in the interim? And I think they can handle it. I think this late in the season, they should be ready to go, especially having this week to rest.
Yeah.
They got time to prepare.
And they've got a good schedule to handle it. I mean, once again, this is a pretty easy stretch of the schedule, aside from the Tennessee game. But once again, just having to play there, it's a tough place to win, tough place to play. I think most folks have chopped that up as a loss already. And so, the other thing, the other positive takeaway from this for me is in March, there's always one player that, you need a guy that it's a cliche, but a player that maybe didn't have a huge role during the year, wasn't great, step up. It was during the Final Four run, it was McCormick. During the last year, I mean, it was Trey Donaldson. I mean, he couldn't miss from 3 last year. So you always need a player. I can't remember if there was somebody who did that during like Jabari and Kessler's year, but like, they lost to Miami and the only game they won. So I don't remember that, but you know what I mean? Like someone steps up normally. So maybe this gives Chaney an opportunity to be the guy that's going to step up. Could Chris Moore give you 8 points a game? And you know what I mean? Like this gives some folks opportunities to show what they've got and maybe get themselves ready with more minutes for a run in March.
Do you feed it to Broom more, or just knowing that everybody's going to be just homed in on Broom? Does that mean Chaney has more opportunities to do more stuff, or is it all right, the guard's got to go just because the front court doesn't have, it's not bolstered down with this 1-2 punch of Broom and Jaylin?
To throw another conversation here is Aiden Holloway has got to get going. Yeah. I mean, there's no listen, and I don't like to be negative, but I'm going to be negative for a minute. Not about Aiden. Well, I mean, a little bit. He's not playing good basketball. Everybody knows that. I think he knows that. But my point here is, I don't. If he doesn't turn it around, I don't see Auburn making a run. Guard plays everything. We've seen Auburn's one of their best teams ever in the history of college basketball, of Auburn basketball with Jabari and Kessler. Now I know they ran into a bit of a gauntlet or a buzzsaw when it came to Miami, who ran deep that year. But they had a great front court, but the back court was kind of Wendell Green. I was never a big Wendell Green fan. Zap, wasn't a high volume scorer as much as we love Zap, and that's what wins in March. And your guards have to be able to score. And whether Trey's going to play 38 minutes, okay, fine. Like I'm cool with that. But you have to get something from your guards in March, or I don't think Auburn will make a deep run. When we were playing our best basketball, Aiden was giving you 8 to 12 points a game. And Trey was distributing the ball well, taking and making open shots.
Aiden would also get those early 3.
Yeah.
He'd just start out within the first 2 or 3 minutes of a game. He'd get 1 or 2 threes that just got your momentum rolling. And then he didn't do a whole lot after that, but it's just kind of helping get a nice padding of foundation, get people rolling, loosen everybody up, keep the other team honest. And it flowed. And if he could just do that, like Aiden, get 2 3-point buckets in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then maybe you can get some at the line or get a quick transition layup later in the game, or maybe even a second half 3, something like that. Keep it 8 or 9 points, and just don't be hawking up buckets in there and just focus on getting some assists, and we're in good shape. Now, I do want to shout out everybody because I got the Outlive shirt on for those that can see it here. Yeah, check it. The new Outlive shirt. We raised that was crazy. That was scary. Oh, you got your shirt
right
there.
here.
Let's
I was
go.
trying to grab mine. That's what I was doing. I knocked some over when I did it.
Oh, it was worth it to see it on here. For those listening, just imagine how awesome the shirt looks.
Exactly.
But we were able to raise $10,000+ for this event. We kind of plugged it on the show a few times. Andrew and I were reporting live from our episode that we did last Friday. Want to thank everybody for helping out, donating, spreading the word, all that. Obviously, this is a great cause. The game, obviously, Auburn did not win the game, but the money they raised for cancer, not just from what we did. I mean, we were like a drop in the bucket. Like tons of other events tons of other things they were doing to raise money for Outlive. Very powerful moment before the game. They did a moment of silence. They held up those cards that had the Outlive logo and the, basically who we fighting for deal. And there were a lot of, I mean, it was thousands of those went up in the air, which just kind of goes to the perspective of how much that is. Bruce Pearl had multiple ones. The top one, actually, I got a picture of this by complete accident. I zoomed in on it. I was like, well, that's a powerful picture. But, Bruce has this very somber look on his face. He's holding his top cue card, and it says, my father, the real BP.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Bruce has mentioned, his relationship with his father and that, excuse me, battle with cancer. So wanted to take a moment there just to plug that and how awesome that was, just to see all that, to be a part of it, to know that so many people were rallying to get that cause. And I want to say that they are raised, if they haven't already, for this, I guess, whenever I don't know if their fiscal year's around the season or whatever, but I think it's over $300,000, and they distribute that to a lot of different organizations that do research and outreach with cancer.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But yeah, to kind of to get us going here, we're just going to talk about the recovery time in the postseason. We're just sort of speculating here, and it seems to be that most of us think that it may not be during the regular season. Maybe it is. It might get the next tail game or two. We don't think it's probably going to be happening. We don't know the nature of the injury. We just know he went down. And they thought, I mean, whatever this was, it was bad enough to where they thought that this was going to be something that needed surgery. It doesn't, which usually it's there. And Andrew, you've played sports. You know how this goes. Usually if you have some type of injury and it's like, oh, I'm getting an MRI because I think I need surgery, you're usually not playing the next day.
No. Yeah.
Like, there's usually some recovery window in there. And I think that kind of goes with everything. It's usually not like oh man, I got an MRI because I thought I need surgery, but you know what? Actually, I should be good in 2 or 3 days. Like
normally it's, I should be good in 2 to 3 weeks. If you got really good news.
Yeah.
And if you do the math on that, 2 to 3 weeks, let's say it's, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is all speculatory talk. You know what I mean? This is, but like, let's say it's a sprain, like, just throw that word out there. It's all speculatory, but I'm counting, assuming Auburn still is playing on Friday in the SEC tournament, you have
That's almost a month.
2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pretty much. Well, this doesn't make, it's on the 15th. So that's 3 weeks. What's the math on that? Is that?
Technically it would be 3. It would be 3 weeks almost. When this episode releases, it would be 3 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you'd have 3
weeks.
full weeks of recovery time. That is,
and
if
on top
Jaylin,
of the 5 days you've had, now.
Yeah. And then too, I mean, depending on how the seeding of the SEC tournament works out, I mean, and it's still kind of iffy. Do you say, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, March Madness is more important. Do you give them do you give them another week and just say, hey, we're going to run it back here? So I don't know the answers to that.
The only pushback I'd have to that is I would want him to have the opportunity to find himself before win or go home for the year.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose to Florida in the SEC tournament and Jaylin, to go home, but Jaylin plays and is 3 for 7 from the field. You know what I mean? I'd rather
his get back game. So yeah, we don't know what it's going to look like, but regardless whether it's shorter term or longer term, we kind of we've discussed who's got to step up, and it's one of those deals where, and I mean, I don't want to say this at all, and they're saying it feel pretty good, but let's say the recovery doesn't happen well and Jaylin doesn't come back at all.
Yeah,
Obviously, none of us want that, including Jaylin, but you can't rule out any possibility at this point. And it's going to be the same story we said. It's just those guys are going to have to step up. And then I think your outlook for what Auburn does the rest of the year is, unfortunately, just much bleaker because Jaylin is one of the leaders on this team. He's the second, barely. Him and Broom are splitting minutes. They're leading in minutes with 24 and change respectively. 16.1 points for Broom, 13 for Jaylin. So I mean, you're losing your second leading scorer, one of the only two scorers that's averaging double digits. CBM is barely at 9.6 behind him. So you hope they step up, but you're also looking at 4.7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 0.8 steals, 0.5 blocks, and then 58.1 from field goal, 51% free throw, 41.4, leading the team in 3-point shots. That's a lot that's got to be replaced.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, I mean, I think you hold those stats up and you look at the team, especially those guys that are going to be playing those minutes or other guys are going to supplement those guys. This is where everybody's got to step up. Like Auburn has the depth to where, yes, losing Jaylin is huge, but they've got the depth to say the guys like, we're prepared to do this. We got a deep bench here. It's just everybody's got to step up and fill those big shoes. And is it going to be without missing a beat? No. But can they go in stride where they should still be winning games how they were? I think if everybody can rise to the occasion and they game plan it right, absolutely. At least to get through the regular season, then see how things go from there. And hopefully when he's back, he can be at 100%. Now we're going to wrap this up. And I've said this on the show numerous times. And I will say this, and I don't know the nature of the injury, so once again, speculatory, but this will probably aggravate him in some deal. He will probably not be back to 100%. Jaylin is a big fella, and he fell on that knee and twisted or hit it, whatever happened, combination of all the above. I'm a big fella too, but I'm nowhere near Jaylin big fella. You know, Andrew, you're a big fella. When we fall, we hit hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And neither of us can jump as high as Jaylin can. So I'm just saying.
Well,
oh, yeah, you said you could dunk the other day.
No,
maybe you can't.
I used to be able. I used to be able to kind of dunk. Not anymore. That was pounds and pounds and pounds ago, my friend. But
the moral of the story there is, just want to kind of put this for everybody. He may be cleared to play, but he may not be back to full fashion. And obviously, you hope that they game plan and the other guys step up and they adjust that.
Yeah.
And with the Chris Moore injury last year, when a lot of people, I think, unfairly kind of go after Chris Moore a little too much. He got hurt in that Ole Miss game. He tweaked his shoulder really bad, was in a lot of pain, was out, ended up coming back, was playing through it. His numbers dropped pretty significantly. And I remember I was watching the March Madness game. I was in person, so I could see it. Probably didn't see this on TV, but there was a scrum under the goal after a layup, and Chris went up with his arm. And I don't know if it was a twist or push or something, but it did not feel good on that shoulder. And he came down, he grabbed that and just screamed in agony. This was almost maybe 2 months after that Ole Miss injury.
Yeah.
That was still very much aggravating him. Now he could play through it, and his numbers went down. So I just want to kind of tell everybody, like, even if Jaylin is back, and he's tough as nails, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Even with Allen Flanagan, like, it's not, if you are not playing as you were after a very, very severe injury, that can happen. So just want to kind of let everybody know, even if Jaylin is back, like, he may not be with this short a time for recovery for the possible nature of this injury.
He may not be Jaylin. Yeah.
Yeah. And he still might be out there. And I think, you know, any Jaylin is better than no Jaylin. Don't get me wrong. But just want to kind of let everybody know, like, if he's not up there hitting these averages,
yeah,
he's probably still feeling something, or he can't cut or do this, but he's going to give it his all 100%. And just kind of, you know, just want to temper everybody's expectations. If he's back, he may be good to play, but he may not be 100% how he would have been moments before that injury. So just to kind of preface that with everybody, like, we just have to set our expectations for what these situations can play with us and or what they present to us. So just don't want anybody bashing on him or, oh, what's going on with him or the team or anything else. And just be there, support on him, love on him, and thoughts, prayers, support for him, the team, everybody else, because man, these guys give it their freaking all, and nobody, obviously the teammates in him, don't want to go down like that. So we're going to be crossing our fingers here. We're going to be hoping for the best. We hope for not only a quick recovery for Jaylin, but a one that is free of pain and any sort of nuisance to playing, and hopefully that we get nothing but the best news moving forward. Guys, that is going to wrap us up for today's episode of the Auburn Daily Show. I got an exciting season of basketball closing out. Everything's coming down to the wire. We are here. We're knocking on the door in March. So I want to thank Andrew for joining us as always. We'll have this episode out, and thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, whether it be podcast, YouTube, sign up for notifications, do all the things that help support the show so much. Leave a comment, add to the conversation. That does as well. You can find him on social media at Andrew Stefaniak. You can find me on social media at Auburn Memes on Twitter and Instagram if you want some of the little bit more ridiculous content. You know how we do it on there. So, guys, thank you all for listening. We'll be back at you again next time.